So, today we'll continue with two next principles, Satya and Asteya. So we have two presenters, Atmaram and Nakamati. And you can present for 5-10 minutes and then we'll just go in circle and share our experiences with this practice, our stories, anything that is relevant to us. So yeah, we can start with you, Atmaram. Go ahead.
Sure. Let me share my screen. It says that I cannot share my screen. I think I don't have the permissions to do so.
Okay, can you try now?
Okay. Yeah, it works. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I checked a few books on Satya and prepared some quotes written by Baba on this regard. So the first two quotes coming from A Guide to Human Conduct. So I put them here so that we would have the definition of Satya. Parahitartam vanamanoso yatartatvam satyam. Satya implies proper action of mind and the right use of words with the spirit of welfare. It has no English synonym. The word true or truth would be translated in Sanskrita as Rita, to state the fact. The sadhaka is not asked to follow the path of Rita, one is to practice Satya. The practical side of Satya is dependent on relativity, but its finally lies in Parama Brahma, the supreme spiritual entity. That is why Brahma is often referred to as the essence of Satya. I think that I tried to put the gist of this quote in bold. I think the main idea of this quote is that Satya is proper action of mind, the right use of words with the spirit of welfare. I think that's the core idea for the first quote. And the second quote is Satyam Jina Manatam Brahma. Even though the objective of a sadhaka is to achieve that ultimate entity, in the process, sadhakas have to deal with the relativity of their surroundings. Humans are rational beings. They possess in varying degrees the capability to do what is necessary or good for humanity. In the realm of spirituality, such thought, word, or action has been defined as satya. So this is the definition. To do what is necessary or good for humanity. In the realm of spirituality, such a thought, word, or action has been defined as satya. I have more slides. It's not the only slide I have. So the next few quotes coming from the book called Some Questions and Answers on Ananda Marga philosophy. Satya is different from relative truth. Relative truth is something which appears through a particular time or place or to a particular person. It may not appear to be true for all time or at all places or to all persons. For instance, the size of the moon is a relative truth. It may appear to be of one size if seen from the planet Earth, but if seen from another planet, it will seem to be of different size. This is called relative truth or asatya. Relative truth and falsehood are only shadows of satya. They can be mistaken for satya, but if put to the test, they clearly reveal themselves as asatya. Sadhana is the only way to remove the shadow of asatya and reach satya, to become trikalajnana, the knower of past, present, and future. For such persons, there is no difference in anything because they see satya in everything. And I also have a few questions here. I didn't put them on the slide because they're just too long. So I will read them. The examples that Baba provides are coming from the previous book, Guide to Human Conduct. For example, a person rushes to you for shelter. You do not know whether he is guilty or not, or perhaps you know for certain that he is not guilty. He is followed by a ruffian bent on torturing him. If this terrified man seeks refugee in your house, and then the ruffian comes and asks you regarding his whereabouts, what should you do? By adhering to Rita or truth, you would inform the ruffian of his whereabouts. Then, if he is murdered, will you not be responsible for this murder? Your mistake may have resulted in the murder of an innocent person. By adhering to Rita or truth, you become indirectly guilty of this heinous crime. What would be your duty if you followed the correct interpretation of Satya? It would be not to reveal the whereabouts of the person, and rather to misguide the aggressor so that the refugee may safely return home. So I think that's one of the main ideas. So that Satya is not always, it doesn't mean that one should always say the truth, if that truth can be destructive to other people or to humanity. And another example that Baba provides is as follows. Suppose your mother is taking food. A letter is received about the death of your maternal grandfather. If mother inquires about the contents of the letter, what reply will you give? If you adhere to truth, you will reveal the news of her father's death, which will cause a great shock to her mind, and she would not even be able to take her food. It would be preferable in this case to state that all is well in their family. After your mother has had her food, a mention of her father's illness would prepare the ground for her to bear the news of the tragedy. In this way, even though something other than truth was uttered, the dignity of Satya has been maintained. The next few quotes coming from Namah Shivaya Shantaya, Shiva's teachings, and they define the difference between Rita, Satya, and how Satya is related to Dharma. Rita, when it leads to welfare, is called Satya. Based on the strong foundation of Satya stands the multidimensional growth and expression of Dharma. Dharma cannot remain with those who do not follow Satya, who do not follow Rita, or who give indulgence to falsehood out of personal interest or ingrained habit. A person who tells lies out of personal interest is certainly inferior to birds and animals, and even inferior to plants. And it should be understood that a person who is habitual liar today must have deliberately practiced this habit of lying for quite some time, and that his or her old practice has now become a habit. However much one might display one's love for Dharma, however much one might be obsessed with ritualistic paraphernalia, however much one might travel to various places of pilgrimage, if one is not sufficiently wedded to Satya, Dharma will never remain with that person. Hence, Shiva's clear observation is Dharma sana yatra na satyamasti. Where there is no Satya, there is no Dharma. And the next quote is coming from the Base and Relative Truth. When one is established in Satya, only then can one become the knower of the past, present, and future, and ultimately of truth itself. For such a person, there is no disharmony anywhere. Of course, it is difficult to establish oneself in the cosmic consciousness, but once having been established in Brahma, a person gets extricated from all disharmony. And just to summarize all the main thoughts from the quotes that we read today, Satya is to do what is necessary or good for humanity, in the realm of spirituality, such thought, word, or action has been defined as Satya. Satya implies proper action of mind and the right use of words with the spirit of welfare. Satya is not the same as Rita, whereas Rita is just direct truth. Satya is, as so the third point is relative truth and falsehood are only shadows of Satya. So falsehood is the opposite of Satya, and Dharma cannot remain with those who do not follow Satya. So it's necessary to follow Satya. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's very concise and very a lot of information, and all of it is relevant. Thank you. Does anyone have any question?
No question, but the example that I got from film, I definitely do have some questions, and I would like to hear everyone's opinion on it. Is this the right time to share the example from film? Or does anyone have any questions? Okay, I guess I'll share my example from film. I don't know if it's exactly related to Satya. It's almost related to Himsa, partial Satya, and even some Asteya. But the line that stood out from the book, humans are rational beings. They possess in varying degrees the capability to do what is necessary or good for humanity. In the realm of spirituality, such thought, word, or action has been defined as Satya. So Satya seems like it's not just truthful words, but also action, our moral actions. So the example from film that stood out, I tried to think of movies that I liked. Has everyone seen The Dark Knight? Dark Knight with Heath Ledger.
Of course.
Amazing. Great, great. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. But in a nutshell, towards the end of the movie, but the Joker in this movie, I feel like he's a very principled human being. He set up the situation where there were two boats. In one boat, I saw this movie a long time ago. I hope it's my memory is clear. One boat, you had a boat full of convicts, and the other boat, you had, I think, just regular people from society. And basically, I think they would both blow up unless one person from each boat would have pushed the detonator to blow up the other boat. So then if you blow up the other boat, you would survive. So he sort of put these people into this moral dilemma, because we all think that we are moral people until we're sort of put in these situations. Then sort of the truth of who we are comes up. So what ends up happening is no one ends up detonating it, to the Joker's surprise. So my question to everyone, if you were put in that situation, what would be the right course of action? So you're in the boat with the regular people from society. The other boat is full of convicts. If you don't push the button to detonate the other boat, you might explode and you might die. So for the good of humanity, what is actually the right choice? Do we allow ourselves to die for the greater good, or do we detonate, saving ourselves knowing that the other people are convicts. But even if they weren't convicts, would you detonate to save yourself? And let's say you're in a boat with your family, your wife, your child. What is actually Satya or even ahimsa in this situation? I hope I explained myself properly. Hope I made sense.
Not an easy question.
I'll allow some time for reflection. I know it's not easy.
I think I personally think that I liked when I read about when I was preparing this a few slides. I like that idea that I think was streamlined through the quotes of Baba, is that it's actually quite straightforward. So you know, separating truth from untruth, like moral from immoral, from my understanding, it should be straightforward. So it's yes or no. And I think in terms of Satya here, so it's actually the answer is very simple to me. So the answer is you shouldn't do that, because why would you kill, right? So why would you kill? So just another example. So when I speak to people about, for instance, vegetarianism and veganism, so to me, it's personally, it's obvious, right? So you don't want to harm anyone. You want good for the world, for humanity, for yourself as well. So you do not kill, right? You do not eat meat, for instance. And when you speak to someone whose understanding of that is different, is always the answer to my point is always the same, is, well, what if we think about that, and there is some moral equilibrium starts after that. So I think everything is very straightforward, and usually if you are asked about something that is not straightforward, this is actually where the truth is very, very straightforward. So it's yes or no. So the gray area, I think, I don't know if I'm being clear on what I'm trying to say. I think that the gray area is artificial. So the gray area which we have been convinced that exists, right? Where we should or should not do that, or maybe we should consider, you know, something in between. It just doesn't exist. So usually it's just this or that, and it's very straightforward. And which one is very straightforward? Again, as Baba says, if you just try to look into the deeper meaning of things, into the moral answer to that question, it's always very straightforward. Just you can answer to such questions like this. That's just, I don't know, maybe that's too convoluted, maybe I'm not explaining myself properly, but my thought is that I think it's the truth is always very, very straightforward, and what's right is very straightforward always. Another question, whether we can do that or not, right? That's a different question. But what's right and what's not is usually just very straightforward.
That's a good one.
I think it's very straightforward if you are connected to that truth, but if you are unsure, how can you know? You first need to be very connected to it to know what is straightforward, what is truth.
Can I chime in?
Yes, of course.
Namaskar. Can you hear me all right? Namaskar, everyone.
Namaskar.
That's a great one. Thank you so much. Namaskar. I'm walking, that's why I cannot try to put my vision camera on just for a while. Namaskar. It's dark in Toronto. Okay, so go to this example, building on what Madhuvidyā said and what Atmaram said. General principle is simple. However, the application, it's difficult when we're talking about personality. You know, in Indian philosophy, they talk about the importance of time, place, and person. So in this relative world, it's all we're bound by time, place, and person. We have a certain personality, individuality, certain genetic makeup, certain upbringing, such certain education, and we basically act upon all of that. Now, when we're talking about the spiritual aspirants, for example, a person like somebody like us who try to understand, learn, and integrate yama niyamas in our life, this is very difficult task. And as Baba is saying, you know, in other discourses, morality is relative because it depends exactly on a person's quality of sadhana. So if a person's sadhana is weak, if sadhana is insufficient, then the strength to follow the moral principles will not be there. And Baba gives an example. For example, somebody gives you a bribe of $100. And if you practice the meditation, say 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, like maybe you will say no, you know, because it's immoral, and you will think, oh, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't violate, say, Asteya. I shouldn't do this. But if the same person would offer you $1 million, then your faith will be really shaken. That's my hypothesis. I don't know, but that's what back to this example of the Dark Knight. You know, it depends on who is on the boat. It depends on the inmates, and it depends on the civil people because everybody is different. Say somebody may have a family, child, dependent ones. Then of course they will press the button because in their mind they will be protecting children. But if the person is single, or say depressed, or say has nothing to lose, or say they have some higher moral principles, they will not do it. Like, for example, there's this detective, what's the other? Gordon, who's very principled person, and he desists all evil. So I think my provocation or maybe acknowledgement is, for example, the Batman figure from that film is somebody as a Sadvipra. So he is a very moral person, but he is beyond the social order in a way. Like, he does not have a direct family, and he's trying to act in the welfare for all, both for inmates and the regular people. And he tries to put down Joker, who is actually the cause of this problem. So anyways, I just really love this film. It's one of the films why I went into acting. That's why I elaborate on it. And the first monologue when I came to Canada, I did Joker. I think I may have this video of me doing him inspired by this 2008 film, Dark Knight. Yeah, really great example. Thank you so much.
I would love to see this monologue one day.
If I find it, it's on some flash card. I may share it.
Very cool.
All right, should we move to the next principle? It's 9:30, so we have 30 minutes for it.
Yeah, hi everyone again. So yeah, the next principles we're going to discuss today is Asteya. So, and Asteya is the principle not to take possession of what belongs to others. So it means literally not stealing. And these principles reflects on many cultures and religious as well. As you probably know, so for example, in Christian philosophy, Jesus Christ gave 10 common commandments, right? So for their followers, and one of them was non-stealing. But I really like how Shishiyananda Murti gave an explanation for these principles, because he gave it much wider than just non-stealing, right? So in his book, The Guide to Human Conduct, he gave an explanation of this principle as like there are actually 4 types of stealing. The first type of stealing, and when you're trying to possess something that belongs to other, I mean, from the material world, right? So something material. For example, some people can, steal your money or your bike, your car, and stuff like that. So in all countries, it's considered as a real crime, right? So, but he also said that even thinking about it, right, about stealing something, is a violation of this principle, the principle of Asteya. So, because when you're thinking about it, you make this thought, possible in your mind, in your imagination, right? So, and it's already made an impact, impacted your mentality, impacted your consciousness, right? So the third aspect he also highlighted is third aspect of Asteya is depriving others of their due physically. So it means that if you have to give someone something that they really deserve, so like money they need to get for their service which they provided to you, something like that, and you are not doing that, so it's also a violation of Asteya. So and the fourth aspect of Asteya is depriving others of their due mentally, and it's I find this aspects really interesting because it means that when you internally, trying to take credit for something for yourself, right, and do not recognize others' contribution, for example, for your common project or some for your family, let's say. So it's also a violation of Asteya. You when you do not recognize their contribution and do not prize them, or so literally do not being grateful for something that other people do for you, it might be considered as a violation of Asteya, because be grateful it's also the form of keeping the balance of the fair exchange. You know what I mean? That from my understanding, the whole universe is a very well balanced system, and the main principles of the universe is a fair exchange, right? So if somewhere something became more, yeah, it means that somewhere else it became less, right? So, and I'm 100% sure that all the people deeply inside have this understanding of the fair exchange. For example, if I take something, yeah, from others, I feel myself obliged, right, to do or to give something back. It might be in different forms, not only like a regular exchange when you go to the grocery and buy apples and pay money for that, right? So it might be in different forms because people can interact and have this exchange in different forms. It might be in forms of your appreciation, in forms of verbal reprisal for something. It might be, you acts of service to someone instead of, and so on. So, but it's always should be, it's always should be exchange, and it should be fair exchange. Yeah, and when people live, in the, I don't know, when people suppose that they can just take something and do not give something back, it generates a kind of, charge in the universe. And this is, for my understanding, this is exactly the violation of Asteya principles. So the generating this charge in the universe. So yeah, Sri Anandamurti gave some valuable examples of the Asteya principles violation in his book. For example, he highlighted that these principles, the principles should be applied not only for your interaction with other people, but also with organizations. So because some people might think that so it's not a big deal, or it's not a sin, to steal something from corporations, let's say, from organizations. Why don't I borrow some, I don't know, white paper for your printer at home, from the office or something like that? But it's also a violation of Asteya, right? So, or other people can think, why don't I, will not pay for the ticket in a train or in a bus, and stuff like that. So, yeah, stealing from corporations, from organizations, and from the government as well. It's also the violation of Asteya principle. So it is important. Well, that's it, I think, on my side. So I encourage you to share your stories about Asteya principle if you have one.
I just want to add something. I don't have a story. I remember that I think that Siddhananda once said, when he was explaining this principle, he said that also in Russian it's halyava. So when you want to get stuff for free, when you can get free samples, but you only take free samples and you never buy anything that is behind those free samples, and you just essentially trying to get all those free samples provided by the universe. So that's kind of the opposite of this principle too. And I remember a few years ago when I learned about that, I found out about myself that I wasn't following that properly, because I don't know, I liked halyava a lot. I was trying to grab free stuff wherever I could, and yeah, so that was a good lesson to me personally.
Well, I have an example from my life. When I was living with my family, like far family here in Canada, when I first arrived, they gave me everything. Like, they gave me time to prepare my portfolio before applying for a job. They gave me food. shelter, everything that I needed to succeed and to move forward. But I felt that I couldn't express my gratitude because of because it was very uncomfortable for me, but it wasn't a good reason not to express it. So I was fighting against it, or against myself, for quite a while, for a few months or even more. And only after that time, when it was my aunt's birthday, I was able to finally say that I am grateful. But it was keeping me very stiff and uncomfortable inside all this time. So it's better to just do it and be free from it.
Why do you think you were feeling uncomfortable with expressing the gratitude?
I still don't know, really.
Maybe because, you know, someone do something, you know, good to you. I mean, you know, give you something. It's normal to feel yourself obliged to give something back. So it's what I'm calling the sense of you know, fair exchange. You know, and this exchange might be not only, you know, in something physical, right? I mean, for example, I was in the same situation that you just described, right? And my, you know, for relatives, they support me a lot. And but you know, your grateful might be not only in money matters, right? It might be in your in your words, in your willingness to help them back, in your, you know, warm and heartful appreciation of their efforts, and so on.
So I have another example from film that's also, I think, a little thought-provoking. I'm sure everyone's heard of Robin Hood. It's not just film.
Which one?
You know, Robin Hood steals from the rich, gives to the poor. So from my sort of memory of the story, there was a very bad leader, tyrannical leader, who sort of deprived the population, and you had a heroic figure, Robin Hood, who steals from those depriving the poor to give back to the poor. So is Robin Hood breaching any of the principles of Asteya, or in this situation where he has a moral foundation, is it not Asteya? You know, I know the relativity, the context of it might not make it as clear, or is taking from sort of the rich, you know, we are depriving them of their due. I don't know, what does everyone think?
Well, he's clearly anti-oppressor. He is a rebel. It's not a violation of this principle. Like we talked in the beginning, morality and dharma is one thing, and ideally law has to work for it. in congruence with Dharma. But usually some states, some periods of history, some countries, some political systems, they don't follow Dharma. And some of them are closely aligned with Dharma, more or less, but some are very far away from the Dharmic principles. So arguably, he was doing a good thing in the context of the film or a story. I had an example from an Italian film that won an Oscar in the 80s, I think, or 90s. It's called Life is Beautiful. Have you heard about it? Life is Beautiful?
Yeah, I've seen it where they're in the concentration camp. The father sort of creates a beautiful experience for his child in the camp. Is that the
Yes,
one?
exactly. So they are in the concentration camp, a son and a father, and father is creating a beautiful life out of this experience. And they are somewhere like not Auschwitz, but something like Auschwitz, concentration camp during the Second World War in Europe. So what happens is, of course, he's lying, right? He's not telling the like truth as it is, but he rather tries to uplift the child. He tries to uplift his spirits, and to make this experience bearable for him. And it's a very powerful film. Roberto Benigni is a director and the lead actor. It's a very powerful film, won an Oscar. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful example of mind over matter, more benevolent use of the mind to actually heal someone. And you have to be smart. You have to be smart using this principle, but be just telling truth as it is does not equate to using Asteya. And that's what it is. So that's the way it is in this film.
Yeah, great example. It seems like the intention behind the action that is the sort of defining aspect of whether the principle is being sort of properly followed, regardless of how it might look on the surface, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to say as well. Because I absolutely agree that that it's everything defined by in the end of the day by your intentions. Why do you make some choice, right? And coming back, for example, with Robin Hood, let's say, if he's stealing for himself only because he jealous of rich people and want to be as rich as they are, so it's obviously a violation of Asteya principle. But if he has another intention and much bigger idea behind that, right? So just to fight inequality in a society, to make life of poor people better, and so on. So it's turned this stealing action into something more valuable, and maybe it's not a violation of this principle in this way.
Yeah, it does seem like that makes a big difference. His actions are in service to others, and it's sort of like he has put himself at risk of put himself in danger to help others. So yeah, that does. Yeah, I don't think it violates principle.
I would like to add that if we, for example, trying to analyze, is this action coming from the place of fear or shame or guilt or anything of that sort, or any our shackles, then it's most probably the action that is not a good action to do. And otherwise, if it's coming from a very clear understanding that you need to do it because of your duty or inspiration, even if it's uncomfortable, it's an indication that it's worth doing.
I think in line with the quote I just saw, I think someone posted it in meditation steps a few minutes ago. Like every action should be an action out of love. So I think if the action is coming from love, then most of the time it's a right action.
Yeah, it kind of gives you strength to tell the truth. From a personal example, I had lots of personal guilt and shame for that. My parents helped me a lot with getting education in Canada. And that have taken quite a long time physically to figure out where to go, what to do. And wasted lots of time and money and working menial jobs after the university. I was hurting the pride a lot and also giving quite a lot of anxiety. And I assume my parents were not happy because I was looking. So, but then the conversations helped. But being grateful, talking to my father, I think our relationships improved a lot. When I started talking to him, I think it's not gonna be an eye opening for everybody that our primary relationships in the beginning are with our parents. And this is the first interaction with society ever in the world. So it's very important that those relationships are, how do you say, constructive, possible if possible, based in Satya, because essentially every parent wants best for their child, even when they don't know what's best. If the mind is saying, the consciousness is not open, if it's closed, you know what I mean. Maybe they don't know, but from their perspective, they're trying to do their best. And same thing for children. So I think Baba's quote that really inspires me is remember that with every living being in this universe, your relationships are based in love. With every living being, always in love, they're based, not in fear or anything else. So this is the primary basis of relationships with the world. And I think when we do sadhana, we remind ourselves of it. We train ourselves to base it on love and not on fear, shame, guilt, and anything, all of those mental bondages, 8 bondages, 6 enemies of the mind. We overcome them in our private life, professional life, spiritual life, in all kinds of ways. So, but sometimes it's difficult to tell the truth. And I think we're most tested in our close relationships. And our close relationships are, as I said, I think, parents, loved ones. But the closest relationship, like the discourse today we did, the closest relationship is with the Supreme Guru, who lives in our I feeling, with the Supreme Consciousness. And this relationship is always based on love. And this is where we can safely resolve all of our conflicts. And then our relationships with even parents, siblings, co-workers, workers, children will be enhanced.
Well, I think that's a beautiful conclusion to the topic for sure.
Yeah, so we have 4 more minutes everyone is welcome to share any more stories.
Okay, brother Terence, how are you? Is it your first meeting? How are you?
Hi. Yes, it's my first meeting.
Okay. How was the meditation for you? Was it overwhelming? Do you have any questions? There must be a lot of new things that happened. Please tell us how is it going?
Oh, yeah, I guess meditation is maybe the hardest part. You know, I'm in the meditation steps thing. So every day or so they give you a new aspect of everything. So but yeah, the meditation's been like it's like a realization that the mind can be fed something, because the Dada Sadananda said, he said there's food for, he said you are you eat, but it is also I kind of realized after he said that with meditation you can feed the mind, and if you feed the mind, well then the mind will be happy and it'll just be happy to pay attention to whatever you're feeding it. So if you feed it the mantra right way, then it just becomes happy, and it's not like you're fighting with the mind or trying to control it. So yeah. But yeah, the I like
Yeah,
the Tandava dance, and I like the Kaushiki. Those are very effective. Also, yeah.
very, very good. And how long have you watched meditation steps, and where are you based right now, if you don't mind me
I,
asking?
I'm oh, no, no problem. I'm in Pompano Beach, Florida. So kind of near Miami, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, USA.
Oh,
Uh,
beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah, and you asked me one other question. I forgot what you said.
I've asked you how long have you watched meditation steps? And
3 weeks, maybe something like that.
okay, okay. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
So we are very welcome. I mean you are very welcome. We are welcome to please join. Yes, if you have any additional questions, if you have any like say things in your mind that you can ask some, senior practitioners here, Atmaram, Madhuvidyā, Akamati, Japersha, myself, please reach out. We can just, if you have any questions or anything.
Okay.
Because sometimes in the beginning, there's for me those online meetings in the beginning were very overwhelming, especially when you chant the mantras besides the kirtan. You don't know why you do this and that. So if you have any things like that, please ask questions. Don't suffer in silence. Uh, you know,
Mm.
it doesn't, yeah, because it was overwhelming. I remember my first meditation in person was very a difficult experience.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Terrence, did you just start meditating 3 weeks ago with the channel, or did you have a meditation practice prior to that?
Oh yeah, I had you could say some kind of meditation practice prior, sort of. I sort of. I've always been something, and I have a flotation tank, which is, you could say, a meditation practice too. Um,
Yeah, I hear those are very powerful in just sort of quieting down the senses and being able to concentrate.
hmm Oh yeah, yeah. They work really well, and then but I've dabbled in everything. But this Nanda Marga, it was kind of funny how I found this. I was on a break. I'm actually with this European organization called the Atman Yoga Federation, but we were on the break, 5 week break, and there was a talk about, some guy was teaching about pyramids and the angles on pyramids, and then there was a guy called Dan Winter who had some promises about bliss and all this. So I was on his YouTube channel, and then a guy called Dada Ravi got on his YouTube channel and talked about Tantra, and he's one of the people in Ananda Marg, and he was talking about the physics of the universe and these forces. And and then the guy that was a physicist that was whatever, that had all these equations, was agreeing with him entirely. And I said, wow. So then I went to the website and found it, and just like, wow, this is interesting. And then I started doing it, and yeah, so it's kind of a weird way for this to happen.
And how did you come across this group?
This group, I think this is part of Meditation Steps. Is it the same thing? Meditation Steps, Dada Sadananda. That, yeah.
Yeah. This is the group of Meditation Steps. North America and Canada.
Okay, North America and Canada is what this one is. Okay. Yeah, I think when you join that thing and they start like the Telegram, I think they add you to a couple of Telegram rooms, and that's how come I'm here also. I think so. Yeah.
Well, if you're on Telegram,
is that the same organization as AnandaMarga.org, or are they different or related? Or
yeah, you're asking very good questions. Maybe somebody in the group wants to answer them, like Madhuvidyā or Atmaram. Why don't you guys?
It's the same. It's the same thing. It's just meditation steps. It's a project that is related to YouTube channels. We have few YouTube channels for US community and North America community, and for Russian speaking community, and also a lot of groups on Telegram, courses and so on.
okay. Yeah, because they don't really teach the Kaushiki or the Tandava dance at AnandaMarga.org, but they do bring in and introduce it with the meditation steps, and I think it's quite effective, those practices.
Yeah. Basically, it's a scaffolding. So it's for the people who are interested in the culture of yoga, meditation, but basically it's an adaptation of these practices which come traditionally more from the Eastern Hemisphere to the West. And basically the acharyas or meditation teachers in the project are mainly from the Western background. Dada Sadananda is from Russia. Didyananda Devapriya is from the US, some state, not sure which one. She's one of the lead speakers. Dada Sheila Badrananda is from Canada, so forth. It's basically, it's an education project. But the body of practices, philosophy are the same.
So does the meditation, you just have to just keep doing the meditation part, right? I mean, right? It's hard at first, but if you just keep doing it, it gets better.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're doing it 3 weeks, that's great. If you keep up for like 3 more months, it will be a habit. Scientists say that 3 months, and then it will become easier, especially easier if you do it like once a week with the community, locally or online. Because then you can exchange your experiences, ask questions, share your experiences, hear experiences. It's basically, like learning something as in a group is easier. And to develop a habit, it's easier. You want to have a good company. But anyway, we are 10:06. We're over time, but it's a great conversation. I suggest we continue it either in personal messages or email, whichever you prefer, or next week. Are you on Telegram? Let me ask you, Terence. Are you on Telegram group?
Yes, I'm there.
And which one is it, Canada or US?
Probably US. I can give you my, I can put my ID in the chat for Telegram. This should work to find me on Telegram, I think. I just put my, if not, my phone number should work. I don't know.
You're called Terrence there, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But if not my phone number, like you can find me by my phone number. Like it's I put the country code in front of it, you know. That number, the country code is 1, and then the number is 818-359-0893. That should be enough, and then I'll just put my email just to be safe. So there's my email.
Oh, so Prince Pawn is your name on Telegram.
It should be, yeah, it should be findable that way.
Terrence Brennan.
Yeah, that's my name. Yeah.
Okay, I found you. I'll come. Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Nice to meet you, Terrence. Guys.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
See you next week. Oh, wait,
Okay.
I forget. What about the next principles? Madhuvidyā. Let's who takes the next one?
Well, I can take and Jepesh can take maybe. Jepesh, do you want to take?
Yeah, I guess I'll take Brahmacharya.
Okay, Madhuvidyā Parigraha, right?
Yes, okay.
Okay, very good. So the task for us is to bring our own personal stories, our personal experience, examples from music, culture, and yeah, that's it. Okay, namaskar. Good night.
Namaskar. Good night.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar.